I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. 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 I'm sorry,
okay? Hey, everybody, and welcome to I'm Sorry, Okay? A podcast where we are watching so much Degrassi. I'm Mary here with Paul and LD. This week we watched Season 1, Episode 5 of Degrassi Junior High, The Great Race. This episode was written by Jan Moore, directed by Clark Mackey, and originally aired on February 15th, 1987. In this episode, it's sink or swim for the boys' soccer team when it's challenged to a race by the girls' swim team.
Yeah, that is pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. I do have a quick content warning for this episode. We will be discussing sexism, sexual harassment, bullying, body shaming. Have I missed anything?
I think you've got it.
I think that's it.
Yeah. This episode opens in the girls' locker room before a swim meet. There's a morning announcement about sports, and Melanie is in her swimsuit, staring at her boobs in the mirror, checking to see if she needs a bra. LD notices her noticing herself and is like, "Girl, what are you doing?" So Melanie's kind of telling her she thinks she needs a bra. She asks what LD thinks, and LD's like, I guess. And then Melanie's just kind of telling her it's like been this ongoing thing between her and her mom, where she thinks she needs a bra and she's ready, and her mom disagrees.
So we're seeing like more continued issues with Melanie and her mom. Continued from her mom warning her about the parties and drugs of Degrassi.
Yeah, Melanie's mom is really high-strung about junior high and about really any issues around teenagers.
It sounds like they get into it a lot.
And we haven't met her yet, so we don't know her at all. It could be that Melanie is making a really big deal out of this stuff, but it sounds more like Melanie's mom is really conservative and just really doesn't want to allow Melanie to grow up in any kind of way. So maybe a bit closer to like Vula's parents.
Uh-huh.
But I would say, from what I'm looking at, she does need a bra.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a case of needing one or not, but she's ready for one, and it makes sense that she would have one. And it is, like, she's looking in the mirror, and she's like, it's obvious. Like, it is obvious. There's something there. Like.
And I think I knew a lot of girls who there was nothing there, and their parents were taking them to get, like, undershirts and camisoles, and then they graduated to training bras, and they did this whole sort of, I don't know what you would call it. They existed in many places upon the bra spectrum.
Sure, like you might start with a sports bra or something just to like wear something under your shirt, but it's sort of like anticipation of like what's to come. And like I really think it's about, you know, being ready versus like, you know, does anyone need a bra? Like it is sort of like a personal choice. But it's one that she's ready to make, and it's just weird. And it's personal in that it's going on her own body, and her mom's not allowing her any autonomy, even though it's not something visible to everyone else. It's something like visible to her. I mean, I guess it does get noticed by everyone else, but like the purpose is for her. It's not for other people.
I mean, did you have to ask your mom to take you for a bra, or was your mom just sort of like, hey, pal, that seems like something you might need? Because you had sisters, so this wouldn't have been like new information for you.
Yeah, I don't specifically remember, but yeah, I had two older sisters who were like 6 and 8 years older than me. So my mom had already been through this with them, and I just, it wasn't a thing. And my dad also had 2 sisters, so just like girl stuff in general was very whatever in my family, like very much a non-issue. I think I do remember my like best friend in elementary school and we were sort of like the first two to sort of start like showing, but like I was like stoked on it. I didn't have any issues until like later with like boys sort of commenting, but I was very much like Melanie in like feeling stoked on the way that my body was changing until I got my period. Much less stoked about that. So I know you had brothers, so was this like a different experience for you?
Oh yeah, my mom basically at some point just was like, "We're taking you to get a bra. You obviously need this." And I was just like, I don't know. And then she kind of just forced me into a bra, and I started off with and still only wear sports bras because I hate them. And also I just kind of remember being telling my mom like, "But what if I don't want boobs? Like I don't want these." And then when I got my first period, my mom was like, "Oh, now, your whole body's going to change." I'm like, "I don't want that. That does not sound exciting to me." And she was like, "You're becoming a woman." And I was just like, fuck. So I think I do remember there was a period because I was the first one of my friends to get boobs. And I think I wore like 2 or 3 sports bras in 8th grade just to like really keep them down. So I feel like that says a lot about who I am as an adult.
I mean, it really, like, thinking about like these first sort of experiences that Melanie's really having with her body and being aware of her body, and it's a pretty negative experience for her. So I think these first experiences, they do kind of shape the way that you feel about your body, like in some ways, like for the rest of your life, or at least, or it might give you something that you have to work through, or like whatever. So it is meaningful how these things are like handled or addressed, or your feelings around them, and there really isn't a lot of space to kind of work through those feelings. Like, and as we'll see with Melanie, she's sort of like alone in this in a lot of ways.
I mean, I think also I never experienced harassment. Like, there wasn't really anybody snapping my bra or yelling at me in the halls about either being flat or having big boobs. Like, there was nothing going on. And I guess I'm just really happy that I was ugly enough to fly under the radar in middle school. I got away with purely kind of internalized body shaming and no external.
I wasn't shamed for my body, but more so in high school, I would get a lot of comments from boys that made me want to hide my body. So it was like a lot of attention, like from boys that I just absolutely didn't want. But that I also internalized of like, well, how can I dress or how can I look so that I won't like get these kind of comments or like be made to feel this way.
Totally.
I gotta say, I appreciate the plotline with Arthur and Yick, because like those two in this episode, I remember being fully checked out of everything you guys are saying.
Oh, you weren't snapping girls' bras or insulting them in the hallway?
I wasn't doing any of that, but I guess I just mean the way that these two like carry on throughout the episode, completely oblivious to basically all the topics that you're talking about, and that like we kind of see in the plot of this episode, just totally disengaged, completely unaware, blissfully, I might add.
I think Arthur and Yick's B plot in this is just another experiment. Their B plots are always like little schemes and experiments. Right. They're always trying stuff out.
I'm not trying to get too ahead of myself, but just generally the vibe of these two in this episode is just like fully like not even, they have their own body issues that they're quote unquote dealing with here, but we know what the real meat of the situation is.
Yeah. And I think, you've got LD who's in this scene and it's just kind of like, oh my God, I do not want to talk about this. We're going to go win
We're
this
about
meet.
to.
We're about to swim, girl. Come on.
Speaking of swimming, next, we're at the swim meet. And Melanie wins the race and the crowd goes wild. Also, in this moment, we see my look of the week, which is the swim coach in her amazing sleeveless Nike top, and she has kind of like almost like feathered hair. We don't really get to see much of her outfit, but...
Side note,
yes.
Is the swim coach the same as the basketball coach? I did not go back and look.
I never noticed the basketball coach. Is she an Asian woman with like kind of shoulder length hair.
She had more of a bisexual bob in the other episode, but now
Okay.
she appears to have a bisexual lob.
Well, I
Good
think
for
it's
her.
probably her because they seem to reuse. The teachers have many tasks at this school.
There's only
like
3 adults at
at
Degrassi.
the whole school. In the next scene, we're leaving Radich's class, and Joey is telling Steph that he got an A+ in sex education in case she has any questions.
Just in case.
Joey
Yes.
P. Jeremiah, P for Playboy.
Yes. Depending on what the P stands for in Joey Jeremiah's name, we kind of get a sense of what version of Joey we are dealing with. And this is not the best version. The P for Playboy version of Joey is probably the worst.
Well, previously he was Joey F. Jeremiah. The F was for a fuckboy. So I don't think we actually know what Joey's real middle initial is.
What if he doesn't have a middle name? This is the worst version of Joey, and I think it's particularly bad off of the heels of the last episode because he finally showed a bit of vulnerability and a bit of humanity when dealing with Rick and Rick's abusive home situation. And here he comes in this episode just being absolutely awful.
Yes.
He only knows how to bro down for his dudes. He doesn't really care about anyone else.
I mean, it's very junior high bravado, isn't it?
Yeah.
It totally is, and the boys all sort of relate to the girls in different ways, which I'm sure we'll like get into, but yeah, Joey really sexualizes them either in like hitting on them like with Stephanie or in like sexually humiliating them like with Melanie. Those are sort of his two interactions with girls.
Absolutely.
So as they're talking, LD comes up to Steph and tells her that the swim team won their meet and they're going to be in the city finals. Steph is like, that's great. She really does not care. LD's kind of like, the reason I'm telling you is because she wanted to know if she's going to make an announcement. But Steph tells her that it's actually Jason Cox that announces sports, not the class president.
Okay. You could still at least be a little bit nice.
Zero fucks.
LD's look, by the way, is my look of the week. Her stripy shirt with her flannel over it, a yellow cap, and her jorts.
Yes.
Yes. My look of the week.
It's
a butch icon.
It's butch icon. It's a timeless look too. I feel like you could kind of wear that any generation and look really good.
Absolutely. You could wear that right now.
Yeah.
And be an influencer.
Totally. Also because her hair is like, her hairstyle is very like, it's not totally a bob. I'm not sure what's happening with it, but I'm really into it. It feels very like Zoomer actually.
She's got a wavy sort of bob.
Yeah.
But like wavy
kind of
because she doesn't
freestyle, not like
she's not doing anything with it. She's probably letting it air dry while she, hangs out in the garage and works on a car.
That's her morning routine.
I would love to see an LD's morning routine YouTube video.
It would be quick.
Absolutely.
All right, so now we get to one of our kind of pointless B plots with Arthur and Yick. They're taking turns measuring each other to see if they've grown. Arthur hasn't had a decent growth spurt in months. Yick feels like they're stuck. And as they're talking, they notice Snake, who is the tallest of tall boys.
Okay, so I looked it up, and the actor who plays Snake is 6'3".
Damn.
So not just comparatively tall to Arthur and Yick, but he is just generally very tall.
A giant.
An absolute giant. Good for him. But also, this is where I'm kind of just like, guys, you're nerds. Do you not know about genetics or puberty?
I think they had to like connect the two plots, the main plot and the B plot. And I think I already mentioned like the B plot is sort of like, it is an element of what boys might go through as a body issue growing up. I was extremely short as a kid. And so I did not carry myself in the way that these two did, but it's like very over dramatized, like the way that like a small boy would like kind of think about these things and just be like, oh yes, I am noticeably short. That's unfortunate.
I mean, it doesn't stop Yick from being dope at basketball. Just
Right.
wait.
Seriously.
Wait for your growth spurt.
And we don't really know. So, you know, Melanie is wanting to like grow up because she's like starting to feel older. Later, she says she's a passionate like teen. We don't really know like why Arthur and Yick are so specifically concerned about their height. Like they don't really go any further than just like wanting to be taller. But Melanie's got all these kinds of ideas about like sexuality and boys, and you know, she's got like more of a reason for like focusing on her body, but we don't really get into it with Arthur and Yick. But even, you know, everyone is sort of noticing themselves, noticing other people, kind of comparing themselves. Like Snake stands out because he's tall, and like that's kind of the only standard among like the boys right now, I guess, is just like who's tall and who's not. But he's also older than them, so it's kind of like they're like, this is their first year. I don't know. Like they've got time. So over in the office, Jason has arrived to make the sports announcements, and Doris tells him to make it quick because she has a date.
Yes, Doris.
Jason, get it, Doris. Jason makes only one announcement about the soccer team, and in the hallway, LD and Melanie hear the announcement, and they are mad.
Feels like a conflict of interest at best.
Yeah, why is the guy on who appears to be the captain of the soccer team also the guy who makes the sports announcements?
And only about the soccer team.
Yeah, it feels like our first look into men being corrupt. In this episode.
Yeah, and it is very patriarchal. Like he has the power of like deciding like which information about like sports are like shared with the school, and he's using it for self-promotion, and nobody's really there to like check him on that.
No adults.
I mean, Doris is there. She is an adult, but she's not.
Trying to get laid.
Yeah, she's a little preoccupied.
She needs to get the fuck out.
Doesn't care what this kid does.
Outside of school, Yick and Arthur have followed Snake and are watching him grab his bike and talking about how tall he is. Arthur says he read somewhere that you are what you eat, so maybe they should find out what he eats. I do not like this B-plot.
These two dumbass little introverts are clueless. But honestly, yet again, I feel their pain.
The less we can talk about this B-plot, the better. It's just...
Yeah, there's nothing there.
It's on par with Caitlin and Susie making Rick smile. It's just like, I know you needed to fill some time, but surely there are better B-plots.
Yes. Let's roll on through because the next scene is so much better. So LD, Melanie, and a small crew of girls find Jason and the soccer team after school before they head to their game. LD calls Jason out in front of the team for not announcing their win, which has put them into the city finals. She says he's supposed to be everybody's sports rep, not just the soccer team. But he says they have a game tonight and there just wasn't time to mention both. LD is not here for that nonsense because it would have taken 2 seconds to mention their win. And then Jason goes for the cheap heel heat and says,
Ladies, it's great you won, but people aren't interested.
What are you talking about?
People don't care about girl sports. Girls aren't good athletes.
Wait a minute.
Hey, don't get mad at me. It's human nature, right?
Yeah!
boo.
Apparently, Jason has never seen or heard of the Olympics.
Seriously.
Like, maybe at this point in time, there is no, like, WNBA or something, but Jesus Christ, there is at least the Olympics.
There are well-known women athletes.
Yes.
Well, so LD fires back at him saying, "At least we win. You guys lose every game," and then basks in her sick burn.
Fucking drag him.
And Jason's like, "Soccer's tough. If the soccer team were swimming against a bunch of girls, they'd win too."
Which, by the way, what is that? Like,
he's just like, "Oh, it's not that hard to beat a bunch of girls."
But
Just
also he's saying
generally, yeah.
soccer is an inherently more difficult sport than swimming, which is just very silly.
It is very silly. Yeah.
All right,
it's not
continue.
like, well, I think it's like kind of what you're getting at is like, it's not like it's a contact sport or something like football.
I think what I'm getting at is just like, I'm not sure that either one of them is more difficult than the other one. They both require specialist knowledge, practice, training, technique. You still have to be good at swimming to be on the swim team.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
it's not like swim team is not one of those things like French club where anyone can sign up and they get to take part. It is still a sport and you have to be good at it.
Yes. Which obviously they are, because they are in the city finals.
Exactly.
So LD's like, "All right, want to prove it? Friday after school, boys soccer team against girls swim team in the pool."
Battle of the sexes.
I really relate to this making a plan that will implicate a lot of people, but not asking anyone, just going ahead and doing it.
Hell yeah.
This is where me LD and Degrassi LD meet. Like the Venn diagram between us is just a circle. This whole episode.
And Jason and LD actually seem pretty like evenly matched. Like as they're talking, like there's a whole crowd around them, and Jason is clearly being obnoxious. But LD is like ready to like challenge him, and they're kind of like, they're going back and forth. It's not like he's like shutting her down or anything like that. Like they're really like going back and forth. You know, LD is obviously, so when we say like heel and face, the heel is like the bad guy in a wrestling match. The face is like the underdog, the person that you're like rooting for, that you want to win. And LD is obviously the baby face, because she has to overcome sexism and the patriarchy and win the race. So she has more to overcome than, you know, Jason, who's just kind of overly confident, even though the soccer team can't necessarily swim. Like playing soccer does not make you a good swimmer.
The soccer team also can't play soccer because they never win.
Yeah, they're also not even good at soccer.
Quick side note question. I'm wondering what star sign you guys think LD is. So I was thinking about this last night, and obviously like her organization and her decisiveness had me leaning towards some Virgo energy, but then thinking about her willingness to like stare down the barrel of corruption has me thinking she's got pretty strong Aries energy.
Yeah, I think Aries are also pretty competitive. They don't like to lose at anything. They want to be the best at everything. And she's pretty like singularly focused on just competing. She's super, like she and Jason probably actually have a lot in common because they both seem pretty competitive, like in terms of sports and trash talking. So yeah, I kind of feel like she might have some Aries energy actually.
I kind of feel like if this were a 2020 teen drama, LD and Jason would get together. Like the sexual tension of their competition would become too much.
They would fight until they realize that they're actually in love.
Yeah, definitely.
Woof.
And I will say, even though Jason's being a jerk, he's actually kind of being a motivating jerk, and he's getting LD really fired up to like kick their asses.
The wrestling vibes throughout this episode are strong. Jason is a perfect heel. You just want to see him lose.
I got strong Rocky vibes.
Kind of Rocky vibes, yeah.
Kind of Rocky vibes, kind of like Clubber Lang or Apollo Creed. Yeah. Like kind of showy, flashy. Yes.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like Jason. I know he's wrong, but I still kind of like Jason. Like, it's kind of fun. Like, he's being like a total like asshole to these girls, but he also keeps it. His sexism is very different from the sexism that we'll see later on, and we can talk about it when we get there. Like, he's wrong to say, you know, girls are bad athletes, like, you know, but he's not making it personal.
He's just trying to put himself over. Like, he's just trying to make himself look good. He's not necessarily trying to make someone else look bad, which I think is kind of what you're talking about in the later sexism that we see.
Yeah.
But he is still very corrupt, as we're going to see.
Sure.
Yes. He's very willing
absolutely.
to circumvent morality and ethics to get what he wants.
He gets backed into a corner.
Yeah, the heel's always got to cheat to win. So later on, Melanie and LD are having some McDonald's shakes. LD is still kind of ranting about Jason's sexism, saying he's a jerk, just like her brothers, who think just because she's a girl, she's like a second-class person. And Melanie is still complaining about how her mom won't buy her a bra, even though she's nearly a teen. LD is like, fine, if you think it will make such a difference, we will go buy you a bra.
I love that Melanie doesn't give a single fuck about the entire interaction that just occurred. It basically just like rolled right off of her back. She is totally disengaged from whatever like heightened competition is about to go down already.
Two things. Number one is that in the previous scene, Melanie locked eyes with Snake while all this shit talking was happening. And so in this scene, she's sort of not really listening to LD. She's just kind of like, I bet Snake just thinks I'm a little kid. But then the second thing I was going to say was I did a bit of an exploratory mission on those vintage McDonald's cups.
Hell yeah.
So they are in this scene, it is 1987, and they are drinking out of these styrofoam McDonald's cups. And so I wanted to see when McDonald's stopped using styrofoam, because I even felt like, wow, that's really, even for 1987, pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, and I think very importantly, styrofoam is not what it is called. Styrofoam is a brand name. Did you guys know this?
Oh.
Yes.
No.
It is called expanded polystyrene, or EPS. And yeah, so I guess it's like us calling all tissues Kleenex or whatever. We've just been calling this foam by its brand name the whole time. So I have a lot of feelings about that.
Congratulations to their marketing department.
Yeah, exactly. We've decided that this one kind of foam is just synonymous with, you know, styrofoam. So in 1990, there was this organization called the Center for Health, Environment, and Justice. And they ran a campaign that was pretty much all school children, and it was called McToxic, and it was like little kids protesting at McDonald's. And yeah, and they were going to their local McDonald's and bringing friends and protesting. And then on November 1st, 1990, McDonald's stopped using EPS for its sandwich packaging. Didn't give any credit to that campaign or any of the young people who ran it. They credited the Environmental Defense Fund instead. And then they kept using expanded polystyrene cups until 2012. And that's when they stopped using these foam cups. So they were using polystyrene for a really, really long time. But I would just like to briefly, unrelatedly, give a shout out to the 1996 McDonald's cups that had Dennis Rodman on them, and his hair changed color when you put cold liquid in it. It really has nothing to do with polystyrene, but I just really wanted.
But it was cool.
Yeah,
but we're talking about
on eBay forever.
We're talking about sports.
Yeah, it's related. Anyway, just wanted to report back about polystyrene.
One thing that I did want to just jump back into with the previous scene was Wheels' look when all of these challenges were going down. It was a look of please don't make this happen. I don't want to swim
Oh,
against these people.
Yeah, the soccer team does not look confident. Like, they're all very concerned.
Sorry, I just had to back that up.
So the girls are off to buy a bra. So they head to a shop and they're giggling over the Wonder Bras.
These two definitely popped a couple New Zealand zappers before going shopping.
Oh yeah, very, very similar amount of giggling to the amount of giggling that we saw after the New Zealand zapper.
LD approaches bra shopping with the maturity of a 13-year-old boy.
They're just kind of like holding the bras up and being super goofy and just obviously like, you know, in the way that like when you have sex ed class and you're just like everyone's giggling, it's that kind of childish energy. LD tells Melanie not to be a chicken, and then they make a joke about chicken breasts. And it's all going on for a very long time. Melanie is worried about what she'll tell her mom, but LD's just like, you don't have to tell your mom anything. You can just change at school like Stephanie. And Melanie's like, oh, like Stephanie.
Yes, hard agree, by the way. If your mom's
Yes.
not going to let you get a fucking
Yeah.
bra, just change at school, man.
What? She doesn't need to know that you're wearing a bra. So yes, a shop assistant sees them goofing and is probably like, please stop destroying my bra display, and comes over to help them. So she measures Melanie, she picks out a bra, and then she asks her if she wants to like go try it on.
She's ready to make that sale.
She's ready for them to leave so she can sell a bra to an adult woman.
She's
Yes.
cool about it though.
Yeah, she's really nice. She's like
the only helpful adult.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just wrote a very nice older lady who is absolutely not fucking around.
And I did was, you know, Melanie's mom is so overprotective that she's really like pushing Melanie away. So instead of going to her mom for advice, now she's looking to other people like Stephanie as a role model, because she tried to talk about this with her mom and her mom is just shutting her down. And just ignoring your kid when they have these kinds of questions is not going to make them go away. It's just going to make them look for answers elsewhere. And like, is Stephanie the best role model? Not sure about that.
No.
But she has a very different reaction to her body changing. She's like not afraid of the attention that she's getting, but she's also getting more positive attention, or I will say seemingly positive attention, because as we saw in like the Kiss Me Steph episode, the attention wasn't really that positive. But she's not being body shamed. But Stephanie is kind of also sexually harassed.
Definitely.
But as we see, like, Stephanie kind of rolls with it, but Melanie really starts to, like, internalize it.
Yeah.
So the next day at school, Melanie comes out of the bathroom having obviously just put on her new bra, and she is feeling stoked. She walks up to Caitlin and Susie and basically makes them stare at her boobs until Caitlin finally notices and asks if her mom changed her mind. She says not exactly, but she got one anyway, and they tell her it looks great. It's a very sweet moment until Joey and his crew come over and are the absolute worst. They just start making fun of her bra and her body.
They accuse her of stuffing her bra. They make fun of her for having small boobs. And I'm kind of like, if Joey doesn't know that the shape of boobs is different when you put a bra on it, like clearly Joey, P. Jeremiah, the P stands for Playboy, has never seen a set of real boobs.
Yeah, he's obviously clueless.
Somebody needs to beat that dude's ass.
Well, someone needs to throw him in a pool.
Yeah, and Joey is only going to get more canceled as the episode goes on.
So can I make one more comment about Joey's role in this episode as a written character on a TV show? Obviously, everything that he is saying and doing is wrong. But if I'm going to continue making this analogy to professional wrestling for this episode, Joey is one of those characters where everything he does is so obnoxious and so bad, he's being set up so that you want to see something really bad happen to him. And I think it is a crucial element to this episode because, as Mary, as you were saying, like everything Jason was kind of saying was like obnoxious, and you do want to see him lose. Like we're all very
Right.
motivated to like witness that. But I think the writers are taking a risk with Joey's character where they are just giving him that extra something that, as we see later on, there's a payoff to what he's doing.
Mhm.
That I think adds a fun, if not horrible, element to this episode.
Yeah, he's kind of got that go away heat.
Absolutely.
So like regular heel heat is like you just want to see someone like get beat up and lose, but go away heat is like you just want them absolutely gone. And I
Yeah.
think also with Jason, it's like it's enough for them to beat him at swimming, but because Joey is trying to humiliate Melanie, you want to see him humiliated.
Definitely.
Plus, he's not even on the team, so he's sort of this like.
He has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
He's like
Yeah.
totally inserting himself like an idiot. Anyway, just wanted to throw that in there.
Appreciate it.
Definitely. I don't watch wrestling. I don't really know anything about everything I know about wrestling is from Glow. So
That very informative show, really. That's
really good.
they
It's
tell-
how I figured out what you guys are talking about.
They tell you everything you need to know in that show.
And I really appreciate it. But you know, I think it's important for you guys to explain these things. So thank you.
Yes.
Wrestling psychology is wonderful.
Wrestling psychology is life psychology. Hopefully we're explaining it well, and please let us know if you have any questions. So next we have Jason, Wheels, and another teammate. Do we know this kid's name?
I don't
In the
think so.
sweatshirt and the
No.
glasses?
No,
We don't know him yet. Okay. And another teammate are talking about the boys versus girls swim race in the stairwell. They're worried they're going to lose because the girls are good, they practice, and they're going to the city finals. So they actually do think that the girls are good athletes, but they only compliment them behind their backs,
Of course.
which is irritating.
It's like on The Office where Michael says something like, you know, I would never say this to her face, but I think Pam is a really
Yes.
talented artist and a wonderful person. And I think, is it Oscar? Who's like, why wouldn't you say that to her face?
Yep.
I can compare everything on Degrassi somehow to The Office. I think I've done it in every episode. I'm so sorry.
So Jason, it's not even necessarily that Jason thinks they can win, but he's just saying they can't back out now. Everyone will think they're chicken. He thought they were men. So Jason is really trying to use toxic masculinity to motivate them, but it's really because he's competitive. So he just wants to win. It feels like he doesn't necessarily care what it is, but he's just like using his charisma and his bad ideas to try to like motivate everyone to like keep this competition going. They really just don't seem to care at all about this. But Jason has a scheme to try to get Snake to swim for them because he knows that Snake was district champion in swimming. But Snake was cut from the soccer team because he was terrible. But so Jason kind of tries to make a deal with them that if he can get Snake to swim, will they agree to swim? And they're like, yeah, maybe.
This is such a corrupt scheme.
Circumventing the rules, more good heel
It's-
work.
Yeah, it's not technically against the rules.
It absolutely is. This is, I think, the first time. I think this is the first time that we've seen someone have a scheme to lie or be dishonest that at least I do not agree with. Like, because previously it's just been like, okay, we're stretching the truth with our parents. We're pushing our boundaries to see what we can get away with, but no one's going to get hurt. And even in this, no one's going to get hurt necessarily, but this is definitely not allowed.
Yeah, he's trying to embarrass them.
Yeah.
But I will say this is not a sanctioned swim meet. So technically there are no rules. And Jason's just, he's just using what he's got.
Oh my God, get
God.
out of here, you libertarian.
Heel Mary.
I love Jason. I love his heel energy.
I don't think we ever see Jason again, by the way. I think this is...
No.
No, Jason. I wanted him to grow and potentially catch feelings for a girl and then realize that he was a jerk. I was really hoping for that.
I want to see him try steroids.
Oh,
That's what I want. That's what I
Like
want.
his
Sports-
competitive edge goes
sports
too far.
pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess he does seem pretty singularly minded about sports.
Yeah.
So he goes looking for Snake, and he finds him, and he tells him he's a good swimmer, and they need him to swim for them. And Snake's like, bro, I'm not on the soccer team. But Jason's like, it's no big deal. You almost made the team, and he remembers the tryouts. He says Snake was not bad, actually.
Even Snake knows he's not good, and this is a bad idea.
Yes. And Jason further says, the girls have good swimmers like LD and Melanie, and they can't beat us. So even Jason admits that they're good swimmers, even though he was trash talking them. It's just kind of funny. Okay, so he says if Snake agrees to swim, he'll talk to the coach and we'll get him another soccer tryout. And he leaves him with, it's up to you, buddy, as he pats his shoulder and walks off.
It's just, Snake is kind of consistently shown as sort of having a very strong moral compass. And this is, I think, the first time that we're seeing it. Is it?
He's, because I think this is the first we've really actually, heard from Snake.
Yeah.
We've seen him around, but he hasn't really, he's a bit of a loner, actually. He's usually off by himself, and he hasn't really been a part of anything yet.
He's friends with Joey and Wheels, but we don't see him taking part in any of their more egregious acts. So he wasn't really, I mean, obviously he was jamming solo during the campaign. And so we didn't see him engage with the votes for kisses. We didn't really see him doing anything with the dance. We haven't seen much from him. So I think this is the first time that we're going to get a glimpse of the fact that Snake is someone who questions the right and wrong of situations.
And he's really like a different example of male energy in this episode. So Jason is pretty competitive, and he just seems like he's still in that girls have cooties kind of stage. Joey is more he's almost obsessed with girls, but in kind of harmful ways. And then Snake is the one he's kind of trying to be a pal to the girls, and he's not really engaging with them in a negative way. He's just kind of he's just a normal dude.
It's just the spectrum of teenage boyhood, I guess, and their different stages of development and how they engage with girls. Joey's just a walking wet dream, and Snake is kind of, I don't know, he's always shown as being a bit more mature, and that's down to not just his height, and also his voice is deeper than everybody, but also he's often concerned with morality, and I don't know, I get a strong Libra vibe from Snake.
He's also an artist. We saw him playing music when he's getting ready to leave school. He has his guitar with him, and because he is so noticeably taller, and he's kind of growing a little bit faster, he's maybe thought about things in a little bit different way, which make him a little bit more mature than the other boys. I mean, Joey might also have, kind of short man, I'm gonna be aggressive because I'm not very tall or big yet.
Absolutely. And girls don't seem interested in him.
No, Stephanie, he pays all this
Wheels.
attention to Stephanie, and then, Stephanie likes his friend Wheels, which he's really, mad about. So he's already kind of getting that, that energy of, feeling like he deserves women's attention, and then when he doesn't get it, he's, mad about it.
He's very entitled to women's bodies, whether it's him touching them or making comments on them. He just feels very entitled. And if he can't have them, then he's going to neg them.
Yes.
as we're going to see.
Apologies, but to briefly mention the B plot, Yick and Arthur are watching this conversation between Snake and Jason to see what Snake is eating, which appears to be yogurt. And he notices them watching him and just has kind of a like WTF look on his face.
Cool. We don't have to say
Yep.
anything else about it. Yeah, that's it.
Moving on. So over in Radich's class, Radich is reading a passage which includes the word breast, so all the kids chuckle. Then three boys sitting behind Melanie scheme to snap her bra strap like some little assholes, which they do, and she yells out like ow, obviously because it hurts. So then Radich calls out Melanie, who just yelled ow because she was in pain, and puts her on the spot and asks if there's something she wants to share with the class. And she's just like embarrassed and hiding her face.
I mean, once again, Radich is singling out the absolute wrong person.
Yep.
And surely he could have guessed that it was someone behind her doing something to her. You know what I mean? And also, you can hear a bra snapping.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's very familiar with that sound as a middle school teacher. So it just feels like, why is he not saying something to anyone around her? He was facing them. Like, what's going on?
He sucks. He's only concerned with like the most surface level problems in his classroom. He has no desire to actually fix shit.
He is not fulfilling his pastoral duties as a teacher whatsoever.
No, he's the worst. This kid is being bullied and sexually harassed in his classroom, and he responds by just like further humiliating her and like silencing her. He sucks.
I just wrote in my notes, teenage boys are a disease.
Yeah. This is the classic too, like, girls are just there, like, trying to learn, pay attention. Even when they laugh, like, Caitlin, I think, like, Caitlin and Susie kind of, like, shoot them a glare. Like, the girls are just trying to, like, learn in school. The boys are harassing them, and then the girls are punished for it.
It's very similar to high school dress codes. Where
Yes.
girls can't have visible shoulders or a visible bra strap. I was once sent home from school because my low-rise jeans in the year of our Lord 2003 were too low. And I was just kind of like, well, who gives a shit if my jeans are low? And they're like, we can see your underwear. And I was just like, but what does that matter? I mean, obviously now as an adult, I'm like, it was not a good look. But it also did not stop me from learning.
Yeah. Yep.
No. And if boys are having trouble concentrating, then that's something that they can work on and figure out. That's not the fault of the girls around them.
No.
Yeah, maybe they
That's
should go
their
talk to
own
the
personal
counselor and like work
Yeah.
on that.
Also, Melanie is wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
She's
Right,
wearing like
yeah.
a peach colored t-shirt. It's not even, and obviously we're not being led to believe here that Melanie is wearing anything provocative and she is asking for this in any sort of way. Like we have in the past, I think there's been an implied sort of deserving on Steph's end or something. I'm not saying that that's
Right.
what we think, but I think sort of what the writers are.
Like
Mhm.
low key talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but with Melanie, it really is just purely boys being terrible.
Yeah. That's not happening here for sure.
She's being harassed in the hallway, in class, like out, like I think later, like outside of school. Just like her entire school day is just her being harassed for wearing a bra. Like,
She would have been harassed, by the way, if she weren't wearing a bra. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
People would have
Yeah.
been coming up to her being like, hey, Melanie, is it cold in here?
yeah, it's very much like if you do or if you don't, they're still gonna find a way to just shame her.
Yeah, it's the patriarchy catch-22.
So after class, LD finds Melanie in the hall, and I mean, Melanie's just looking so sad at this point, which LD completely ignores and just starts talking about the swim competition again. She says some of the girls are backing out because they don't want the boys to see them in their swimsuits and or are on their period. LD is like, give me a break. But at least there's still the four of us. And Melanie is like, hell no, I'm not swimming. And LD is like, but you have to, Melanie.
Okay, I actually have a question here because everyone's worried about the boys seeing them in their swimsuits. These girls are competitive swimmers. They're swimming in front of the school already anyway. Probably everyone who's coming to this race will have seen them in their swimsuits already.
Yeah, don't get that one.
I don't know.
I guess because they typically swim against other girls, but in this case the boys are like right there with them, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And they didn't show us any of these conversations. This is just kind of what LD's saying. And also it could be that they just don't care, much like the soccer team didn't care. So who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is all LD's thing. She has arranged this.
Right.
She's sort of making other people participate in it because she thinks it's going to be dope when they beat the guys. Right. But no one else was excited by this. And this wasn't anyone else's idea.
Nothing's at stake, right? It's just bragging rights. Like there's no stipulation or anything.
No. Yeah. Bragging rights are important.
I'm just clarifying.
It's just to shut Jason up.
Yeah, okay. Just checking.
And to prove him wrong. And
which is, to me, very valuable.
Sure.
It is. Someone needs to tell Jason to shut up. And LD is not wrong for caring about the competition, but I think the problem is that she's only focused on that, and she's missing that her friend is really being bullied and is like totally like withdrawing into herself. And instead of really listening to her, she's just kind of putting more pressure on her.
I will say, in her defense, they're not in the same grade. So LD wasn't in class seeing these boys pick on her. So I also think she might just think like, come on, man, just put your swimsuit on and get to work, because she didn't see what happened. And I don't think she wasn't in the hallway with Melanie when Joey came up and accused her of stuffing either. So she hasn't seen all of the things that have happened. And I don't think they're not like slumber party friends. They're just like swim team friends. So I doubt that Melanie's coming up to LD between classes being like, someone just said I've got tissues in my bra, and like, oh, someone just snapped my bra. So I think like, I agree though, because LD does need to be a bit more emotionally intuitive here and wonder like, okay, my friend who was previously okay with this is now not okay with this. Why is that? But also I think she definitely didn't see her being bullied.
That's a really good point. I think all she knows is that Melanie's been talking about this disagreement with her mom. And so she's probably like, just get, like, whatever, you got the bra, like, who cares? So yes, that is good to note. I think you're right that LD hasn't actually witnessed any of this happening.
I also think LD has very strong queer vibes and is in that kind of junior high portion of life where everyone's starting to talk about boys nonstop, and she's just like, will you shut up about boys? I don't care about your bra. I don't care if Snake thinks you're hot. I just want to go swimming and shut this guy up. That's it.
But she didn't think that it was stupid to get a bra either, though. She was kind of like, if this is important to you, then just do it. So she's not being like critical of Melanie either. She's just kind of like, she doesn't get why it's like important. Yeah.
It's just not on her list of priorities, but she does support that Melanie needs it.
Yeah. So, Melanie leaves and LD kind of runs after her outside of school, and she keeps trying to talk her into swimming because she's still not getting it. Melanie's just kind of like, you don't need me anyway, but LD says she's one of the best swimmers they've got. She's having a hard time putting together a team, and it's going to be even worse if they find out that Melanie's not swimming. So Melanie is like a leader and a really good swimmer, but she just like, it's not something that's like making her feel confident. Like she's just it's just not on her mind right now.
Well, no, because if you've got that many people bullying you at school, and even if I guess it's not a huge amount of people, but it is several people who are harassing you, and that voice becomes louder as the day goes on. I'm sure no amount of success at swimming is going to drown out the feeling of shame that she's feeling now due to Joey and a bunch of boys in her class.
Now she's just expecting at any moment that someone's gonna like make fun of her again.
Yeah.
And so LD's, trying to prove herself against all of the sexism she's grown up around with her brothers.
Melanie, please. All these years I've had to listen to my brothers. LD can't do it. She's a girl. LD's dumb. She's a girl.
Yeah, etch that on my tombstone.
Okay. I think this scene kind of stakes out, like, again, like the B plot, as dumb as it is, I think is trying to illustrate, like, here's what some boys who aren't confident in their bodies might be dealing with or doing or whatever. But I think it like really puts a stake in like what the real problems Melanie is like facing versus like these two nerds are just sort of like hiding in the shadows. Like they feel a little embarrassed and like comparing themselves to Snake, but like it's not a real problem. And we're like seeing that here. Like she's dealing with so much.
I don't know though. I think that boys can be kind of terrible to each other. So maybe they do just feel like maybe there's an inevitable amount of bullying that's going to happen because they're so small, they're wimpy, they're on a sports team, they're probably not the tallest on the sports team, and maybe they just feel like they're being left behind. I don't know, because until you were talking earlier about also being like a short kid and also sort of having those feelings, I hadn't really thought about the fact that every plot in this episode really is about body shame in one way or another.
I think what Yik and Arthur are dealing with is a lot more passive, and like part of it is that they're introverts, but I think that's part of being a short kid in school is that you feel like and you maybe are sort of socially ignored just because of like the physical limitations of people literally can't see you in a crowd, which I have experienced, and just like how that can affect you. So like, yeah, all of that is real, but yeah, just going back to just saying that it's passive, at least right now, how the way that they're dealing with it, their issues aren't like outright. Like they might get bullied for being short, but that's literally just if somebody even notices that they exist.
Yeah, no one's actually like drawing attention to it about them right now. They're just sort of like, yeah, like you said, no one's worried about them.
They're alone to
They
notice.
do not register.
No. So that's its own thing. But yeah, so we're kind of seeing, I feel like this scene is really where like those two things are like established in what they are. I don't know.
So Melanie had she had like a t-shirt on earlier. Now she's wearing this cardigan that she's like pulled over her body and she's slouched over and just looks like really sad. And now she's telling LD like everyone laughed at her and it's gonna be even worse when they see her in a bathing suit. LD's like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? Like, she literally has no idea what she's talking about.
It has never occurred to LD to not be confident in her body.
No, it has not even crossed her mind. And Melanie's like, saying that her bra shapes her, but without it, she's flat, and she can't wear it under her swimsuit, so she's out. She just does not want to be laughed at anymore. She's already internalized what the boys have been saying about her, and then she starts doing an impression of, like, more mean things that they'll say to her. So, like, they don't even have to bully her at this point because she's already doing it, like, to herself. I almost cried watching this. It's just, like, it's so sad. Like, Melanie was feeling really good about herself, and all within a day, like, she's now ashamed and hiding her body, internalizing all of the jokes that the boys made at her expense, and she just feels, like, totally alone in this situation, and like even her best friend just like doesn't get it. Or I don't know, is Kathleen her best friend? Who is she? I guess she was hanging out with Kathleen before, but whatever.
She seems to hang out with Kathleen.
Kathleen
Caitlin,
sucks.
Susie.
That whole group, I guess.
I mean, Kathleen does suck. If Melanie's talked to Kathleen about wanting a bra, Kathleen would probably be like,
you're gonna burn in hell.
Yeah, I was supposed to say you're going to hell. Yeah. Kathleen's like, you're perverted.
Yeah, that's that Kathleen energy. Yeah, I mean, if in terms of identifying with anyone, I don't, like I said, I never got like negative body shaming, but I totally identify with Melanie in this scenario where like you're wearing something, you think you feel cute, and then a boy can just make any kind of comment on your boobs and you just like want to disappear. It's just like the absolute like worst feeling.
I mean, it really sets her up for any number of scenarios. Like she could start wearing oversized clothing, she could develop an eating
Right.
disorder. You know what I mean? There's so many side effects of being bullied in this way and being body shamed in this way. And I'm worried about Melanie, man.
Yeah. I am also worried about Melanie, but I think she did finally, she finally like told someone what was going on, because even though people had witnessed it, no one was really intervening or paying attention. So like now LD's like, all right, now she's like, got it, this is in her head, she understands what's like wrong with Melanie. So Jason brings Snake to soccer practice and he's on the team now, but he cannot even make a pass.
He launches it.
Oh, very embarrassing. Everyone is being nice though, and Jason's like, you just need some practice.
He's not being nice. He's trying to keep him on the team.
Well, I meant the other dudes on the team are being nice. Yeah, Jason is just Jason is very self-serving. He's just trying to sweet talk him into staying on the team. So after practice, Yick and Arthur follow Snake to a corner store. They're watching him with binoculars to see what he buys, and he bought a Super Crunch Delight. So then they go in and buy, like 20 Super Crunch Delights?
Pretty sure they asked for 20.
It's an awful idea.
It just doesn't even make sense. I mean, I think like you already said, LD, like Arthur seems to be pretty smart, but he's acting like so stupid right now. It's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, I do not find this to be an engaging B plot whatsoever.
No. So once again, we will just move on.
Thank you.
So before school the next day, Jason comes up to LD and he's kind of taunting her, and she finds out that Snake's going to be swimming for them. She tells him that's not fair. He's stacking the team. And then
Speaking truth to power, baby.
Yeah, she's immediately just like, nah, dude, that's not cool. And then after she walks away, Snake tells Jason that Snake's is like clearly having second thoughts and he doesn't think this is right. But Jason's got that charisma, so he kind of keeps him going. Until the race.
Not quite.
Yeah, because Snake doesn't actually show up in the boys' locker room. And then Jason goes off to look for him again.
I love where everyone is waiting at the pool for this race to start, and there are signs. There is signage.
They have posters.
I tried to take note. So as you know, I love to track the utilitarian prop of the week.
Oh.
Yes.
And this week's utilitarian prop that I loved the most was a poster that is in the boys' locker room that says, "The guys are tops, the girls are not." And then there's another sign later that someone's holding that says, "Boys are number one on the field and in the pool."
Totally.
Love it. No catchy slogans for these guys.
Over in the girls' locker room, feeling a little bit worried. LD is like, no, it's cool. One of us can swim twice. It's gonna be great. Don't worry. She's really trying to like keep everyone motivated and like keep their heads in the game.
I wrote in my notes, "This is very classic LD, and by that I mean classic me." Like absolutely,
cool,
yeah,
guys.
not acknowledging the impending doom scenario whatsoever. Just being like, this is fine.
It's cool. It's gonna be great.
We'll deal with it.
It's all gonna work.
Let's
out.
problem solve this. Stop your whining. I'm on it.
And unfortunately, we now must head over to the gym where Arthur and Yick are hanging from some bars, trying to stretch themselves out or something.
Like medieval torture.
Yes. They say that they were both sick all night from the Super Crunch Delights, I guess because they both ate like 10 of them.
Honestly, why would you not space it out? I have no respect for these boys right now.
No.
Oh, side note. I looked it up, and in Canada, they specifically use the word chocolate bar as opposed to the American candy bar.
Oh.
Just thought I'd throw in that, I don't know, dialect research.
So, yes, if you eat 10 chocolate bars, you will probably not feel great.
And you also not grow a foot.
No, you won't grow.
Shocking.
And Arthur says, no gain without pain. This is the price of getting tall. Except that it is not, because this will do nothing to affect their height. Out in the hallway, Jason runs into Melanie and asks if she's seen Snake, which she has not. And he notices that she's still like in her regular clothes, so he's like, aren't you getting ready to swim? But he realizes that she's not going to swim, and then he's so stoked that he does a little skip down the stairs.
I hate it.
So momentarily, I was like, oh, is Jason gonna be like concerned right now? Because he looked a little like, hey, aren't you supposed to be getting ready to swim? But he doesn't even ask her why she's not swimming. He's just like, oh, great. Okay, bye.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't care. Why would he care?
No, he's not
I
empathetic.
just thought he might be a human. I
Oh,
held
Mary.
out hope for Jason, but
Uh,
it was misguided.
He's not here to make friends. He's here to win.
That's true. Back in the boys' locker room, Jason tells the dudes he can't find Snake, but they don't need him anymore because Melanie's not gonna swim. They ask why, and he says because she knows they're gonna win and she's chicken. So he is also oblivious to everything that's been going on.
This is what I'm saying, man. Jason and LD could really get together.
They could be a super couple if they just, tried to make it work. So Melanie runs into Snake on the steps outside of school, and then they have a little heart-to-heart. They kind of both ask each other, like, hey, I thought you were going to swim. Snake says he's not going to because it doesn't feel right, and then she basically says she's not going to because Joey and his friends were laughing at her. Snake is kind of telling her, like, he used to be pretty good at soccer until he got tall. So he is also dealing with his body changing. Like, he says something like now his feet don't always listen to what I don't know, he says some dorky thing. Basically, he's just like, his body is changing in a way that he also, like, just feels like he doesn't have control over his body right now. But he gives her a pep talk telling her, everyone hates being laughed at, but you can't let it stop you from doing stuff, especially stuff that you want to do. So Joey is apparently bullying everyone at this school.
Yeah, he says, Joey gives me a hard time too, but what should I do? Hide?
kind of more bootstraps arguments from Degrassi students. Like, I don't know. It's another thing where it's like it's serving the final moments of the episode to just motivate her to go and do the thing, but it's sort of ignoring a lot of factors.
I mean, it's a little bit like Friday Night Lights, take a knee just before we go out and win the big game.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's trying to be encouraging, but he's also kind of blaming Melanie for letting Joey get to her instead of holding Joey accountable for his actions. Like,
Yes.
Melanie is just trying to live her life. Like, she didn't ask for any of this. It's like a sweet moment, and Snake, I think, is like doing his best.
Yeah.
But it's not exactly the right message.
No.
The scene is very John Hughes vibes, though, I will say. Sitting
Very.
out front of the school.
And Melanie does have this like kind of doughy-eyed like look on her face when Snake's like talking to her.
The whole episode has been like leading to this too. Yeah, right? Like,
oh yeah, she's been crushing on him. They smiled at each other earlier. Like, she's just like loving this moment from him where he's not just noticing her, and in a way, actually, the bra did work in getting Snake to pay attention to her, but not in the way that she had intended. He actually is there for emotional support.
Hell yeah.
I think Snake is definitely Libra sun with a Cancer rising.
He seems very like sensitive and compassionate. Like he's there for her.
Yeah, he wants to support her and he wants to do the right thing.
And he wanted to be on the soccer team, so he had reservations about what Jason was saying to him, but he wanted to be a part of the team, so he like kind of was like checking it out, but then he just decided on his own really that like it didn't feel right and he like wasn't gonna do it.
Yeah, I really respect him for this. He decides that it's not worth it for him to have the thing that he wants, which is being on the soccer team with all of his friends.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not actually because of his talent, it's actually because they want to use him for this race.
Right. So now we have the big boys versus girls swimming competition, and it's got that big fight feel.
Big fight feel.
Melanie checks her look in the mirror. So Melanie has changed her mind. She's in the girls' locker room. The other girls have already come out. But she checks her look in the mirror. She's feeling stoked again. But when she comes out, she kind of has this like shy smile. It's really cute because people are clapping for her, and then Joey yells that she's so flat the walls are jealous.
I hate it.
We all hate it. LD, not our LD, but Degrassi's LD, hates it the most. She goes over, grabs Joey, and throws him into the pool.
Yes.
I love it.
Incredible.
Did anyone notice? So when the girls' team is coming out, all the girls are cheering for the girls' team. And then when the boys' team comes out, all the guys kind of are cheering for the boys' team. But there is one girl in the front row who absolutely loses her mind cheering for the boys' team. And
Nice.
I just wrote in my notes, who is this girl in the front row? Baby Phyllis Schlafly, that's who. Where is Beret Girl? She'd have a lot to say about this.
She perhaps did not want her beret to get wet.
That's real.
So yes, Joey takes a heel bump into the pool. It is much deserved. LD has helped her friend. I think that she like honestly was just like, why would you care what Joey thinks of you? He's obviously stupid. But then when she realized that it was actually hurting Melanie's feelings, she was like, oh dude, I got this. Let me crush this dude for you.
This is the third time that LD has taken matters into her own hands this episode. I'm really here for it.
Yes.
Also, you absolutely could not do that in a show now because Joey would have an iPhone in his pocket.
Even better though. Good.
Yeah, I guess. But that was literally what I was thinking when she pushed him in the pool. I was like, no, what's in his pockets? And I was like, nothing.
It would be better now because you'd get the bonus content of him being like, my phone.
Oh yeah, that actually would be better. I recant.
And I bet he would have like had pictures like on his phone where he was mocking her, so it would have been even better justice if his phone got destroyed.
Oh yeah, because if it was 2020, the plot would have been that Joey was cyberbullying Melanie by making memes about her flat chest.
Yes.
And posting them on Face Range.
Yes.
Or Hastygram.
Luckily, we are spared from that because we are still in the 80s. All right, so we get to the match, and Melanie wins the match, and then there is a very unflattering freeze frame of her that honestly feels rude after what this child has just been through.
Did you guys like Stephanie coming out like she's sort of a pinup girl at a used car showroom, just going like, this competition is officially open. And then that's it.
That?
Where are the adults?
Didn't
seriously,
she
for health and
fire the
safety
sports
reasons.
gun
Oh yeah,
thing?
she fired the gun, but I'm also just like, where are the adults? Someone could legitimately drown. Something could happen. This is a pool. What is going on?
I mean, just once again, the adults just don't seem to care.
Absolutely not.
This match felt a little too competitive for me. If we've got this like near championship swim team versus they're like not understaffed, but like the boys team doesn't have enough competitors. There's only 3 of them. Why were they even in this race?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it should have been that evenly matched
No, they should
whatsoever.
have like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh well,
And
that's fine.
Jason looks pretty athletic, but Wheels and the other dude don't really.
No.
So that also
No.
makes it kind of surprising that like the girls, I would think in swimming, being leaner would make you faster and a better swimmer. So also for just like their body types, it seems like the girls would obviously be better, on top of the fact that, you know, they're actually trained and like they're competitive swimmers. So yeah, it was a little bit too close.
Oh well.
I would like to add that the broom head count in this episode is a shocking 0.
Unfortunate.
No broom heads in this episode.
I mean, you know, they're too busy criticizing people's bodies to really worry about who's a broomhead this week.
It's true.
Can't relate.
This is a very sports like centric episode and like competitive episode. Even though I played sports, I was not really competitive. So I don't think I really identified with anyone other than just Melanie for the sad reasons that we all identify, you know, being raised female, that we all kind of identify with like having those negative comments from men about like our bodies.
How about you, Paul?
I unfortunately identified with Arthur and Yick for the numerous reasons that I've mentioned previously. But kind of like you were saying, Mary, the actions that they were taking in this episode weren't exactly what I would have found myself doing. I was never like trying to come up with schemes to gain height, but such is TV. LD, you? I think we can all imagine.
I really strongly identified with LD. She's not only organizing something, but it's also something no one wants to do. And she gets upset when no one else wants to do it, which is a big me vibe. I love to organize stuff that no one else is excited about. Strongly identify with her, just sort of like, please shut up about your bra. I'm just going to take you myself. That can-do attitude. But I also really identified with Snake in this episode. He had a very strong moral center. And even though it was tempting for him to be lured over onto the boys' soccer team, he, in the end, on his own, without talking it out with anybody, just realized this is a bad idea. This isn't what's right. And I'm not going to do it. And he didn't seem to feel super pressured. He didn't seem to feel guilty. He didn't seem like he was waffling on it that much. He sort of stated multiple times throughout the episode, this doesn't feel right. And then finally decided, you know what, this definitely isn't right, and I'm going to stick to it. So I felt that.
Nice.
Friends, what did we learn in this episode?
Well, I learned that if someone is being a sexist piece of shit, the nicest thing you can do for them is to throw them into the nearest body of water.
I learned that men are trash right from the beginning, right out of the gate. And even the good ones, like Snake, are still tempted by the promise of power. And that power can be corrupted.
So I learned that there are different kinds of sexism directed at women. Jason's sexism is like a more traditional, you know, boys rule, girls drool kind of thinking. He's also very competitive and uses toxic masculinity to try to get into the girls' heads and to try to like motivate the boys. But Joey is like sexually harassing Melanie and is attacking her physical appearance rather than her physical ability to do something. So Jason's sexism kind of motivates LD to prove him wrong, but Joey's sexual harassment really like hurts Melanie's self-confidence and like isolates her. So I think it's just kind of about the different kinds of sexism and just how, you know, you can react to that in different ways, either wanting to like overcome something and prove something wrong, or like internalizing something And it's all terrible.
I think there's a fair bit of internalized misogyny coming from LD too. That sort of mocking of girls not wanting to do stuff because of their periods or because of boys or because of bras. Like, she's very much kind of following the script of things that are feminine are therefore bad because they're not right for her. And I think she has a long way to go and a lot to learn about internalized misogyny.
And also, sometimes your period is a good excuse not to do something.
Right?
So, like, period pain is legitimate, and being dismissive of it really is a disservice to everyone.
Yeah, anytime I tell someone I know who experiences periods that I'm on my period, they're always just like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is the normal response. Or if you're telling like a dude, the only response should also be, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say is, I mean, it's pretty easy to just have that reaction, even if you don't.
Even if you're not sorry,
Yeah.
just shut up and say you're sorry.
Yeah, or you might get thrown into a pool.
Yes. So you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at I'm Sorry OK Pod. OK is OKAY. You can email us at I'm Sorry OK Pod. Once again, OK is OKAY. So that's it for the Great Race, and next week is Rumor Has It.